Money angels are waiting on your words. They are standing at attention, not because they are powerful on their own, but because they are obedient to law, the law of spoken word. Life is not responding to your wishes, your hopes, or even your prayers spoken in fear. It is responding to what you consistently declare, especially when no one is listening. You are always speaking something into motion. Even when you say, "I don't have enough," or "money never stays with me," you are not just describing a situation. You are giving instructions. Words are commands. They move unseen forces. They either open doors or seal them shut. Most people think money comes through hard struggle, luck, or connections. But money, like everything else, moves through consciousness first. The outer world is only a mirror. It reflects the inner decree. When you change the decree, the reflection must change. There is no other option. You were never meant to chase money. Money is meant to answer you. But it can only answer what it hears, and it does not hear your silent wishing. It hears your spoken conviction. When you speak words of lack, you send your money angels away on useless errands. You tell them, "There is nothing for you to do," and they obey. When you speak words of fear, you bind their hands. But when you speak words of faith, clear, calm, and certain, you release them instantly. The universe is not emotional. It does not argue. It does not delay out of cruelty. It simply follows direction. If you say, "I am always supported," support must show up. If you say, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," it must find channels. The way is not your concern. The order is. Many people repeat affirmations nervously, checking their bank balance, watching the clock, wondering if it's working. That is not a command. That is a question. And questions produce uncertainty. A decree is spoken once with authority and then rested in. Think of a king. A king does not beg his servants to obey. He speaks once, and the command moves through the entire kingdom. Your words must come from that same inner authority, not arrogance, but certainty. You do not need to shout. Power is not loud. Power is settled. Speak your financial good the way you would state your name. Calm, certain, final. Say it when nothing seems to be happening. Say it when evidence disagrees, especially then, because appearances are always late. They are shadows of past thinking. If you react to them, you extend them. If you speak over them, you dissolve them. Money angels love clarity. Vague words produce vague results. Do not say, "I hope something works out." Say, "My supply comes to me now, perfectly, under grace, in the right way." That sentence alone carries balance, timing, and protection. And once spoken, let it go. Detachment is trust in action. The moment you stop gripping, things start moving. Tight hands cannot receive. Open hands do. There is a strange paradox in spiritual law. The more relaxed you are, the faster results appear. Tension says, "I don't believe." Calm says, "It is done." You must also watch the small, casual sentences, the jokes, the complaints, the offhand remarks. Those are often the most powerful spells because they are spoken without resistance. Saying, "I'm always broke" as a joke is still a command. The universe does not understand humor, only instruction. Begin to bless money. Speak to it kindly. Money is sensitive to appreciation. When you say, "Money comes to me easily and stays with me," you change your relationship with it. What feels welcome stays. Do not condemn those who have wealth. What you criticize, you block yourself from receiving. Bless what you want to experience. Say, "There is more than enough for everyone, including me." That sentence alone removes competition and opens supply. And remember this: you do not attract what you want. You attract what you agree with. Your words reveal your agreement. Change the agreement, and life must renegotiate with you. There may be moments when doubt rises. That is not failure. Simply refuse to speak it. You don't have to fight thoughts, just don't give them a voice. Silence is better than a negative decree. Each morning, before the world speaks to you, speak first. Set the tone. Say, "Today I am divinely supplied. Opportunities seek me. Money moves toward me with purpose." Then go about your day. No chasing, no forcing. And when something arrives, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Gratitude multiplies movement. Say, "This is evidence, more is on the way." Because it is. Your words are bridges between the unseen and the seen. Every sentence is a seed. Choose them carefully. Speak life, speak wealth, speak certainty. The money angels are not late, they are not confused, they are simply waiting, waiting on your words. Most people believe they are simply talking when they speak about money, but in truth, they are issuing commands. The spoken word is not casual sound, it is law in motion. When you say, "I don't have enough," you are not describing a temporary condition. You are giving a direct instruction to life to maintain that condition. Life does not pause to analyze your intention or comfort you with sympathy. It responds with precision. It takes your words at face value and moves unseen forces to match them. That is why people repeat the same financial patterns year after year without realizing they themselves renewed them daily with their speech. Every word carries agreement. When you speak something, you are consenting to it. You are aligning your inner authority with a particular outcome. That is why hope alone does nothing. Hope has no authority. Wishing has no power. But declaration, spoken calmly and consistently, sets a law into action. The moment you say, "I am always supported," support is ordered. The moment you say, "Money comes to me freely and stays with me," channels must begin forming, even if you cannot yet see them. The unseen always moves first. People often argue with their own good by saying, "I'm just being realistic." But realism is simply loyalty to past evidence. And past evidence was created by past words. If you continue to describe what has been, you recreate it. If you dare to speak what is unseen, you change direction. The law does not ask for proof, it creates it. The proof always comes last. Notice how effortlessly negative statements slip out. "Money is hard. Nothing ever works for me. I'll never catch up." These sentences feel harmless because they are familiar. Yet familiarity does not mean truth. It only means repetition. And repetition is what gives words their power. The universe responds more strongly to what you say often than to what you say intensely. A quiet statement repeated daily will outweigh an emotional affirmation spoken once. That is why casual speech is so important. The offhand remark spoken without resistance is often more powerful than a planned affirmation spoken with effort. When you complain, joke, or sigh about money, you speak from belief. And belief is authority. Life listens closely in those moments because there is no inner conflict. The words move straight into form. To change results, you must change the role you think words play. They are not commentary. They are creators. You are not reporting on life. You are instructing it. Once you understand this, you become careful without becoming fearful. You begin to pause before speaking, not out of tension, but out of respect for your own power. This does not mean you deny appearances or pretend circumstances do not exist. It means you refuse to give them the final word. Appearances are temporary. Words are causal. When you speak over a situation, you interrupt its momentum. When you keep describing it, you strengthen it. Silence is always better than a negative decree. There will be moments when your bank balance contradicts your declaration. That is not failure, that is transition. The outer world is slow to change because it is the echo, not the voice. If you react emotionally to what you see, you send mixed instructions. But if you speak calmly in the face of contradiction, you establish dominance over the condition. A true decree is not forced. It does not come from desperation. It comes from knowing. Speak as though you are stating a fact, not making a request. The tone matters as much as the words. Authority is quiet. Certainty is relaxed. When your words carry that tone, they carry weight. You do not need to speak constantly. Repetition is not about volume. It is about consistency. Choose statements that feel steady, not strained. Words you can live with. Words that feel natural in your mouth. Because the goal is agreement, not effort. When you agree with your words, life agrees with you. Over time, you will notice something shift. Opportunities appear without strain. Help arrives unexpectedly. Ideas come fully formed. This is not coincidence. This is response. The law is always working, either for you or against you, depending on what you authorize with your speech. Once you truly understand that your words are commands, you stop feeling powerless. You realize you have been holding the pen all along, writing the same chapter out of habit. And with one conscious sentence, spoken with conviction, you begin a new one. Money does not respond to desperation, pleading, or emotional strain. It responds to authority. Authority is not forceful. It is settled. Anxiety is a signal of inner disagreement, and whenever there is disagreement within, the command weakens. You may say the right words, but if they are wrapped in fear, they carry mixed instructions. Life cannot move decisively when it receives contradiction. That is why so many people repeat affirmations again and again with little result. They are speaking from nervous hope instead of quiet certainty. Think about how anxiety feels in the body. It is rushed, tight, watchful. It checks for proof. It counts minutes. It waits for signs. That state silently says, "I don't believe this is done." And the universe always agrees with your deepest agreement, not your surface words. Money cannot flow toward resistance. Tension pushes it away because tension is an attempt to control the outcome rather than trust the law. Authority, on the other hand, has no urgency. It does not explain itself. It does not defend its position. When you speak from authority, you are not trying to convince life. You are informing it. The tone is calm. The breath is steady. The mind is relaxed. There is no emotional charge attached to the outcome because certainty has already replaced need. This is why the most powerful declarations often feel almost boring when spoken correctly. They lack drama. They do not stir emotion. They feel neutral. And that neutrality is strength. Power does not vibrate with excitement or fear. It vibrates with balance. When your words come from that place, they move faster because nothing is blocking them. Many people confuse intensity with effectiveness. They think that if they feel strongly enough, something must happen. But intensity without alignment creates friction. Money does not move through force, it moves through harmony. The more you try to make it happen, the more you announce that it has not happened. That announcement becomes the command. Notice how easily things come to you when you are relaxed. Ideas, solutions, even unexpected help. That same law applies to money. When you stop chasing it emotionally, it begins to approach you naturally. Calm is magnetic. Anxiety is repellent. Speaking from authority also means knowing when to stop speaking. Repeating a decree obsessively can cancel it. One clear statement, spoken with trust, carries more weight than constant repetition spoken with doubt. After you speak, your role is to live as though the command is active, not to keep reissuing it in panic. This does not mean you never feel fear. It means fear does not get the microphone. You may feel uncertainty rise, but you do not let it shape your speech. You can say, "Even if I don't see it yet, I am fully supported." That sentence bridges emotion and authority without weakening either. Authority also shows itself in patience. When you rush the timing, you suggest lack. When you allow the process, you demonstrate faith. Timing is part of the law. What arrives too early cannot stay. What arrives under pressure often leaves the same way. Money that comes through calm channels stays longer and multiplies. Observe people who handle money well. They are not frantic about it. They do not worship it, fear it, or chase it. They expect it. Expectation is authority in its simplest form. When you expect something, you do not beg for it, you make room for it. The shift from anxiety to authority is subtle but life-changing. It is the difference between saying, "Please let this work," and saying, "This is working." One asks, the other declares. And life always responds to declaration. When you speak from calm certainty, you align your words with natural law. There is no resistance to push against, no tension to slow the movement. Things begin to rearrange quietly, almost invisibly. And one day, you look back and realize money did not respond to how badly you wanted it. It responded to how firmly you knew it was already yours. Clarity is the language the universe understands best, and release is the signal that you trust what you have spoken. When words are vague, outcomes remain vague, not because life is withholding, but because it has not been given a clear direction. Saying something good will happen leaves the door open to delay and confusion. But when you speak with precision, calmly and confidently, you define the channel through which your good can arrive. Clear words are like a straight road. Release is what removes the traffic. Together they allow movement without resistance. Many people struggle not because they fail to speak, but because they keep revising the order. They declare their good and then immediately interfere with it by worrying, checking, and re-speaking from fear. Each anxious repetition is not reinforcement, it is correction in the wrong direction. It tells life, I don't trust what I said. Trust is the unseen ink that seals a decree. Without it, words remain theory. With it, words become law. Release is often misunderstood as indifference or passivity. In truth, release is active faith. It is the inner posture that says, I have done my part. Once the seed is planted, digging it up daily does not help it grow. Constantly watching for results disturbs the process. Nature does not respond to surveillance. It responds to allowance. When you release, you step out of the way so the law can work efficiently. There is also a rhythm to right outcomes. Clarity determines direction. Release determines timing. When you cling to the how or the when, you narrow the path. Life has more routes than you can imagine. It often chooses the simplest one, but simplicity requires space. Releasing control creates that space. It allows opportunities to approach from angles you did not plan and through people you did not expect. Specificity matters, but obsession cancels it. Speak clearly once, maybe twice, then let silence do its work. Silence is not emptiness. It is confidence without noise. When you continue to repeat a desire from urgency, you turn clarity into pressure. Pressure is resistance. Resistance slows movement. Ease accelerates it. Release also corrects timing. Sometimes what you ask for is ready, but you are not. Detachment prepares you by loosening your grip on outcomes and strengthening your trust in law. What arrives through forced timing often comes with strain and leaves quickly. What arrives through release comes with stability and stays. You may notice that when you stop trying to manage the result, life begins to surprise you. Ideas arrive fully formed. Help shows up without asking. Solutions appear while you are doing something unrelated. This is not coincidence. It is the natural effect of non-resistance. The moment you relax your insistence, you remove the block that was slowing everything down. Releasing does not mean you stop acting. It means your actions are no longer desperate. You do what feels natural, timely, and aligned, without attachment to outcome. Inspired action flows easily when there is trust. Forced action exhausts because it is driven by fear. The body knows the difference. So does life. One of the clearest signs that you have truly released is peace. Not excitement, not anticipation. Peace. Peace is alignment in its quietest form. When peace arrives, movement follows. The outer world reorganizes itself to match that inner stillness. Clarity followed by release is a complete cycle. Speak what you want with confidence. Trust it enough to stop watching it. And then live your life. That living, open, calm, and unattached, is what allows your words to turn into visible results. The words you speak casually often carry more power than the ones you plan, because they come straight from belief without resistance. When you joke about being broke, complain about money slipping away, or sigh about bills, you are not just talking. You are revealing agreement, and agreement is what gives words authority. Life responds most quickly to what you say when you are relaxed and unguarded, because in those moments there is no inner argument canceling the command. The universe hears certainty, even when it is spoken unconsciously. This is why so many people feel confused when affirmations seem not to work. They may speak positive words for a few minutes each day, but then undo them for hours through careless comments. A single statement spoken from belief can outweigh dozens spoken from effort. The law does not measure time spent affirming, it measures conviction. And conviction usually lives in the everyday language you use without thinking. Complaints are especially powerful because they are repeated with emotion. Emotion energizes words. When frustration or humor is attached to a statement of lack, it sinks deeper into consciousness. Saying, "Money never stays with me," with a laugh may feel harmless, but laughter removes resistance. The sentence slides in easily, and life accepts it as instruction. What is spoken lightly is often manifested heavily. Casual speech also shapes your self-image. The way you talk about money determines how welcome it feels in your life. If you constantly speak of it as stressful, unfair, or hard to keep, you create an environment where money feels unwelcome. Nothing stays where it is criticized. Appreciation is not flattery, it is alignment. When you speak kindly of money, you remove the inner conflict that pushes it away. This does not mean you become tense or fearful about every word. It means you become conscious. Awareness alone begins to change patterns. When a negative sentence rises, you do not panic. You simply choose not to give it voice. Silence neutralizes it, or you gently replace it with a statement that carries a different direction. Blessing money is one of the simplest yet most overlooked practices. When money comes in, no matter how small, acknowledge it. Speak appreciation. Gratitude is not politeness. It is confirmation that supply is active. Each time you recognize provision, you strengthen the pathway for more. Life multiplies what you notice. Be mindful also of how you speak about others who have wealth. Criticism creates separation. Separation creates lack. When you bless abundance wherever you see it, you declare it safe for yourself as well. What you celebrate, you invite. What you condemn, you block. Over time, your everyday language begins to shift naturally. You no longer dramatize lack or exaggerate struggle. You speak neutrally, respectfully, and with expectation. And as your language changes, your experience follows. Quietly, steadily, without force. The smallest sentences, spoken without thought, are often the strongest creators. When you learn to guide them gently, you stop sabotaging your own good and start allowing life to cooperate with you. What you experience is not drawn to you by desire alone, but by agreement, and agreement is always revealed through what you repeatedly accept as true. Many people say they want abundance, yet their inner language is still aligned with struggle, delay, or disappointment. Wanting is passive, agreement is active. Life does not move toward what you admire from a distance. It moves toward what you internally approve, normalize, and expect. Your words show what you have agreed with far more honestly than your wishes ever could. Agreement is subtle. It forms quietly over time through repetition. When you say, "This is just how things are," you are signing a contract with the past. When you say, "People like me don't get ahead," you are not making an observation. You are establishing identity. And identity is one of the strongest forces in creation. Life works hard to remain consistent with how you see yourself. Change the agreement, and life must update the evidence. This is why effort alone cannot override belief. You can work tirelessly, plan carefully, and still feel stuck if your inner agreement contradicts your actions. Life always sides with the deeper alignment. If your words carry resignation, life will mirror it. If your words carry expectation, life will reorganize to meet it. Agreement is the meeting point between thought, speech, and emotion. When all three point in the same direction, results accelerate. Many people unknowingly agree with lack because it feels familiar. Familiarity is comforting, even when it is uncomfortable. Prosperity can feel unfamiliar at first, and unfamiliarity is often mistaken for danger. So the mind pulls you back with phrases like, "Be realistic," or "Don't get your hopes up." These phrases sound protective, but they are agreements with limitation. They keep you loyal to what you know instead of what is possible. Changing agreement does not require force. It requires permission. Permission to expect better. Permission to speak differently. Permission to let go of old explanations. When you give yourself that permission, your language softens, your expectations rise, and life responds without struggle. You stop arguing for your limitations and start allowing expansion. This shift often shows up as a quiet confidence. You no longer over-explain your dreams or defend your faith. You simply move as someone who expects support. And expectation is magnetic. Opportunities align with it. People respond to it. Resources recognize it. Agreement also determines what you reject. When you no longer agree with struggle, you stop entertaining thoughts that reinforce it. You don't fight them, you outgrow them. They no longer match your language, so they lose influence. This is how change becomes sustainable, not through willpower, but through alignment. The moment you change what you agree with, you change what you allow. And what you allow determines what stays. Life is always listening for consent. Give it consciously, and it will follow your lead. When your words, expectations, and self-image come into agreement with abundance, there is no resistance left to push against. Movement becomes natural. Provision becomes ordinary. And what once felt distant begins to feel inevitable.